Hello Raider Nation, and welcome back to Raider Homer's Phone Blitz. Last week's Blitzers did not disappoint, and Herman Munster was on point with his reviews. The only thing that was left out was naming last week's Sackmaster. But have no fear, Raider Nation, because Raider Homer is here, and I'm making the call. Last week's Sackmaster was my boy Caesar from Maynard, Texas. Now I know that seems biased, but he did hit on 2 out of the first 3 draft picks calling for defense, defense, defense. Not only that, he showed love to the silver and black of Central Texas. So yeah, I'm being biased. But hey, I enjoyed making a video with all of you Blitzers. Now, on to this week's Phone Blitz. This week, the Phone Blitzers are back with the post-draft reaction, which I'm sure, at first, was much like the newest face in Raider lore. This is the same face I made when we took Carl Joseph in the first round of the 2016 draft. At which point, I quit trying to predict who the Raiders are going to draft forever. Now I just wait until after the draft and then play armchair coach and try to predict which players will start. It's all in good fun, and it's what makes us all die-hard Raider fans. So thanks for watching, Raider Nation. I hope to hear from you in the next episode.
What's happening, Raider Nation? This is the Raider Critique coming back at you with my Blitz follow-up. Of course, this is after the draft, but here we go. I was completely wrong, even though I was right about one thing. We did not draft a quarterback in any of the rounds that we had draft picks in. So at least I got that part right. But Cleveland Farrell, okay, I don't even think this guy was on anybody's draft board, but maybe a couple people. And then, of course, we missed out. We missed out on Josh Allen, and of course, Quentin Williams went first before we could ever even get our hands on him. So honestly, yep, I consider this a whiff. Everybody said I did go in there for the sack, but I think I dove right by the quarterback. To be honest with you, it was a really good draft, though. I mean, we did pick up a running back. We picked up a really good running back in Josh Jacobs. And then we actually solidified our defense by picking up a couple corners, a safety, and another defensive end by the name of Quentin Farrell. So we also picked up a wide receiver, and it looked like we were just basically drafting straight off of Clemson. So, you know, I think this was a very solid draft. I think we're going to do really well this year, and I'm still sticking by my prediction. But anyway, I just wanted to go ahead and give you all a follow-up. I recognize my mistakes. We were all pushing to get dudes like Quentin Williams and Josh Allen and all these other major high-priced players, DeAndre Baker. We missed out, you know, but we did solidify the holes that we had on this football team. So anyway, Raider Nation for life. I'm out.
What's happening, y'all? This is Oakland Enraged Raider Rob Cross coming to you live about this draft. Yeah, I know some of y'all, you know, everybody's juiced up. We done got some good names. We got some good talent and all that. Now, I gotta be honest, you know what I'm saying? It's real. What's real is real. You know, people get mad. They can get upset if they want to. We wasted, you know, I ain't gonna say we wasted the pick because we got a good player, but we could have got more value out of that 4 pick. First of all, beating Pittsburgh was stupid. Beating Denver was stupid. We should have had another 1 pick, but we're going to leave that where it is. We got the 4 pick. You come up, you got Josh Allen on the board, man. You got the boy Allen on the board, sitting there waiting for us. We got the boy Allen. 6'5", speed demon off the edge. We take Cleveland Farrell, who was a great defensive end. But he's not ranked higher than 15th or 16th on anybody's mock draft. Nobody's picking him that high. We could trade that pick, trade down, get another first rounder or a second rounder or something, and still pick up Cleveland Farrell, you know, Cleveland Farrell, still pick him up, and then go down later, and we could have did the bookend thing that I wanted to do. I wanted 2 for 1. When Sweat dropped, I'm like, we getting 2 for 1. But no, we got to go pick a running back. You know, on the 24 pick, we go for running back. I'm like, why? Nobody wants a running back till maybe mid to third round. Nobody wants a back. Nobody wants a back. Plus, he's not Zeke, bro. He's not, you know what I'm saying? This kid don't even have the numbers in college. He's not that dude. He may have some talent, but he ain't that dude. He wasn't even the best running back on his team in college last year. The kid from Antioch is better than him. That's what I really want for us is him. So, yeah, we got good talent, but was it the best thing? I don't know. We're going to have to see now. Because I would have did it differently. I would have had Allen. I would have had Sweat at 24. I'd take the safety at 27. Then at 35, even though we dropped back a few times, I can't remember what the exact number pick was after we dropped down. I'm still happy with the corner. I didn't need the back. You know what I'm saying? I didn't need the running back. I would have took a running back in the third round. And there were much faster running backs. Running backs are just as good. All right, now getting back to this, you know, I went and took the back. I took the corner in the second round. Fine with that. Third round cases, we don't have no picks. Now, the fourth round was pissing me off. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we was reaching in the fourth round. Yeah, they got some potential. They even had some glimpses. But we got two basically unproven guys who got some talent, but they're really unproven. Played in weak conferences. You know, the whole deal. We don't know what they're going to be in the NFL. We don't know why are we taking that in the fourth round? Fourth round is quality dudes that we know that can get down. That's what we need to take in the fourth round. Now, the Clemson receiver, I love him in the fifth. You know what I'm saying? The sixth and the seventh, I ain't gonna lie, I don't even know who he took. I ain't pay attention to that. Those was like, you know, them dudes is gonna get cut, and we all know it. Okay, you know, I'm not worried about them. Maybe get some immaculate. Them guys in the fourth round should have been our sixth and seventh round picks in my eyes. They just not, you know what I'm saying? They not polished enough to be taken in the fourth round like that. So now we got to deal with what we got. We didn't address the offensive line at all. That is a problem with me, especially with these fourth round picks that are basically, we don't know what the hell they're going to be. They're basically projects. They basically, let's see what we got. We got a talent ball. Let's see if it blows up. No, we need a guard and a tackle. We got AB. We got Carr. We got Tyrell. Let's put a line in front so they can actually play catch with each other. Let's keep Carr off his back. Give him somebody. Okay? Brown alone ain't enough. We needed 2 or 3 guys on the line, at least 2. We only got 1. We didn't get nothing out of the draft. Then we gonna go sign some dude, you know, big dude from Alabama. And that everybody we get from the damn championship game. I mean, come on, man. Let's keep it 100. I like cats that win, but you know what I'm saying? That's a little much. We gotta get the best talent available. So, you know, we're going to see how this plays out. You know what I'm saying? I'm optimistic that they can get out and play. I'm not thinking playoffs or nothing crazy like that. If they go 7-9, 8-8, you know, I'm satisfied with it. Hopefully they can do better than that and give us something to all cheer about. But if not, it is realistic. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I went through that last season, the Oakland stuff last year, so I'm not all sentimental about that no more. And it is what it is. We're going to see what these cats got. You know, so we real young on the line. We got 3, like, either rookie or first-year players or second-year guys that'll probably start on our line, which is not a good recipe for winning. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. We got too many rookies.
Hey, what's up, Raider Homer? This is your buddy, Raiders Voice, calling you up again regarding doing a follow-up on the draft. You know, I think I'm eating my own words because I made a bold prediction. I said they were going to pick a quarterback on the fourth overall, or either that or the 24th, and it didn't happen, which I'm really happy about it. I think the draft was not a home run, but it was a solid draft. You know, I'm used to seeing a lot of head scratchers. when you talk about the Raiders drafting, players. Because, they used to go just with fast guys. Fastest guy is going to end up being a Raider, so. But I'm happy, I'm glad they didn't pick a quarterback. We don't need controversy right now. We're doing really great things. I'm really happy that Mayock Gruden really respected Mayock and let him do his thing. And they just went with their board, They didn't make no wild picks, and they even traded down a couple times to get extra picks. So I'm really happy about it. And so I think if I were to grade the draft, I would say it's a solid B minus, But you never know when you talk about drafting players, because even if they choose the ones that you like, they might end up not standing out. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But other than that, man, I think it was good. I'm really happy about Josh Jacobs. I think that's gonna be a solid running back, and I'm glad they picked him because now the other running back that we already have just got a season-ending injury, so I'm happy about it. Anyway, that's just my little input, and go Raiders, man. Talk to you later. This is Raiders Voice. I'm out.
This is Houston Raiders Steve. Want to break down the draft. Colin Farrell, defensive end, Clemson. I thought he was kind of a reach, but he wasn't going to be available after that fourth pick and everything. The way that everything was falling in the draft, he's a playmaker. Obviously, I think the man obviously loves being a Raider. I think he's going to be a great player for the Raiders. He just makes some hits. Josh Jacobs, running back from Alabama. We haven't drafted a running back in the first round since 2008 with Derek McFadden. Kind of reminds me of the kind of runner that Marcus Allen used to be. I think we got Marcus in the 5th or 6th pick in that year's draft that he was drafted out of USC. So obviously, Josh can make plays. You got to love his story about his upbringing and how he's made him a good player of himself. Abram, round 1, Jonathan Abram, Mississippi State, great player, great hitter, a lot of intensity, even against his own teammates in practice. So they had to tone it down a little bit. He's going to be a great player for the Raiders, I believe. He's a hitter in the Jack Tatum mold. We haven't had people like that since Michael Haynes and Lester Hayes and all that back there. Okay, Trayvon Mullen, cornerback Clemson. He's also a great playmaker. He has to be a pretty good playmaker for the Clemson Tigers and everything. He did a great job. He's a hitter. Max Crosby, defensive end. That was a problem we had with the Raiders and everything this past year, is that they didn't have an edge pass rush, as you could see in the games and everything. We just didn't have an outside edge rusher. So that's to fill that need. Defensive end out of Eastern Michigan, Max Crosby. Isaiah Johnson, cornerback, that's the next pick. Last person we picked, though, was from University of Houston, I believe, was C.J. Hayden. He had his health problems, so I think Isaiah Johnson's going to be a great player. He's also a good hitter. He's going to be a sleeper pick. Since we lost Brandon Cook, we went out and the next pick, we got the tight end from LSU, Foster Moreau. Obviously, John Gruden believes strongly in a strong running game and also utilizing the tight end and everything. He's kind of an old-school NFC, Bill Parcells type of offense, in my opinion. The next pick that they got is the wide receiver out of Clemson, Hector Renfro. With Williams and obviously Antonio Brown and everything, our wide receiver needs obviously were pretty obvious last year because of the drop-off of Cooper. So that was a big need that we had. And anyway, the next one we had was round number 7, Quentin Bell, defensive end out of Prairie View. His father played for the Raiders from 91 to 93, Nick Bell, as a running back for the Los Angeles Raiders. And Nick Bell is from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey, this is Dave, the Raider fan, with my take of the Raiders draft, which might be a bit of a jumble because I'm just freestyling this here. And my impressions, my reactions were to the general criticism of the Raiders taking Cleveland Ferrell at 4th overall. Frankly, a few months ago, I thought the Raiders would be great to take Cleveland Ferrell at 4th overall, but all the mock drafts kind of had him bouncing around, and it became kind of a question mark on where he would go and whether he would actually be available at 24th overall. And so I didn't have him going to the Raiders at 4th overall, and this was part of the reason I became kind of disillusioned by the pass rushers in this draft, because frankly, Josh Allen's kind of a tweener. I thought he was kind of a project, but he had a higher ceiling for explosive potential as a pass rusher, meaning he could get 15 some odd sacks in a season, whereas Cleveland Ferrell seemed more like a 8 to 12 yard sacks type of player, maybe one or two seasons at about 6, which isn't terrible, but it kind of knocks it out. It gets in your head. Because it's just like with Amari Cooper a few years ago. All the buzz was about Kevin White and running a 4.3, and then look what happened. Amari Cooper's been a Pro Bowler a couple times. Kevin White has been on injured reserve for most of his career. So a lot of the pre-draft buzz gets in everyone's head, and you start to wonder. And it's part of that's by design, that people want to drive down the stock of certain players because they want that guy to be available when they pick, and they don't want to trade up. So it's all psychological warfare essentially. And I'm perfectly fine with the Raiders taking Cleveland Ferrell at 4th overall. I gave it a B, just because it seems like passing on Josh Allen and Ed Oliver might come back to haunt them. So at the moment, it's just a B. I'm going to say in a few years, it could go up to an A. But at the moment, I'm giving it a B because, I feel like they might be looking over their shoulder at some of these other guys that they passed on. So, but hopefully I'll be wrong. Hopefully they won't, or that won't be the case, or hopefully Ferrell will be just as good as the other two guys or better. I like the pick of Josh Jacobs at 24th overall. I didn't think he'd be on the board at that point. I thought he would go sooner to like the Steelers to replace Le'Veon Bell. I guess they didn't. They wanted to replace upgraded linebacker instead. More power to them. I think Jacobs could be a rookie of the year. I mean, I think it's going to be between him and Kyler Murray. Sports media is probably going to favor Kyler Murray if he's successful, or if he starts 16 games and has 3,000 yards and even like 16 touchdowns, though he'll probably get named as rookie of the year. But I think Josh Jacobs is a perfect fit for Gruden's offense. Running back is not dead in the NFL. But the big question mark for me is whether the middle of the offensive line is good enough at the moment. I'm not sold on Denzel Good, and that could be a bigger problem than people think. And that was my biggest criticism of the Raiders draft. They didn't do anything to upgrade the offensive line. So at the moment, the offensive line's still kind of in flux. We don't know what's going on there. I like the pick of Jonathan Abram, the strong safety at 27th overall. I've been saying for a while I thought safety was a bigger concern than cornerback is. I'm glad they went with a box safety that can help in run defense. I don't think the Raiders should cut Carl Joseph, but they might do that just to save money. I would keep Joseph as depth in case someone gets hurt. He's still better than a lot of the practice squad guys would be. Let him play out the final year of his contract, and if he's worth re-signing, then re-sign him. If not, he walks away. I don't see any point in cutting him just to save a little bit of money at this point, because he might be more valuable as a backup, and heck, he might still win the starting job. So I'd allow him to fight for his job in camp rather than cut him beforehand, unless for some reason some team out there makes a really good trade offer. It might be worth putting him on the trading block, but at the same time that can kind of ruin his confidence. So I would let him fight for his job in the training camp, and if he's either a starter or he's going to be a backup, I'd keep him as a backup either way. I like the pick of Travion Mullen, the cornerback from Clemson, in the second round. At worst, I think he's going to be a second a quality starter as the second cornerback. I think he'll contribute in the nickel as a rookie, maybe even start. It's hard to say. But I wasn't high or big on Byron Murphy from Washington or DeAndre Baker from Georgia. They're good in coverage, but both were a little undersized and slow. I didn't even have Mullen on my radar. That's how bad I thought the top of the cornerback group was in this draft. So I was looking at guys that might fall to the 4th and 5th round instead, because those are typically raw players that have a lot of the right tools to play the position, like height, speed, and weight. Speaking of which, the Raiders took Isaiah Johnson in the 4th round, cornerback from Houston. I think that was a great pick. If you ask me, it's probably worth experimenting with him at free safety, because the Raiders now have some good depth at cornerback, but they're still weak at safety. The biggest head scratcher for me was Max Crosby, the defensive end out of Eastern Michigan. From what I've seen, Mike Mayock, GM, was big on this guy. He looks, after reading the scouting reports, he sounds like he could be a quality backup or career backup, which isn't necessarily bad. But I felt like most of the guys the Raiders took in the draft could start as rookies or make significant contributions as rookies. I don't know where Max Crosby fits. He needs to bulk up, or he lacks power. He needs to work on. That doesn't come that easily. So, but he's tough. He's gritty. He has good technique. I think he's probably competing with Benson Mayowa to back up Arden Key on the defensive line. Foster Moreau, the tight end out of LSU, the Raiders took him in the 4th round. Great pick. They didn't bite on taking tight ends in the 1st round, which wouldn't have been a terrible idea. But I thought if Foster, the reason I thought the Raiders should look at tight ends early is because I didn't think Moreau would be on the board in the 5th round, because he would probably go early. But that's why the Raiders did well in picking up 2 extra picks in the 4th round, so they could take Foster Moreau at the end of the 4th round. Great pick, in my opinion. Good blocker. Which the Raiders need, especially for the running game and protecting Carr. He's basically a clutch receiver who's good, who's underrated in yards after the catch. You don't really know what he can be as a pass catcher, because the LSU offense doesn't really incorporate the tight end as a pass catcher, and the LSU offense is mostly more run oriented anyway. Then, Hunter Renfrow was taken in the 5th round, the wide receiver out of Clemson. If he steps up as a slot receiver as a rookie, great pick, home run pick, but it's hard to say whether his clutch ability is going to translate to the NFL. But why not find out? I guess that's essentially what the Raiders needed to fill out their group of receivers. They got Antonio Brown, who's a deep threat but also clutch. They got Terrell Williams, who's a deep threat, and then they have Hunter Renfrow and Marcel Aitman to compete for the slot receiver spot to come up big in the clutch. So they got the Raiders' passing offense now has all the right pieces all over the offense, and Derek Carr, in my opinion, should be thinking about having an MVP caliber season. 40 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, 65% completion rate or higher. Earn his $125 million finally after 2 years of struggling and the Raiders trading Khalil Mack. The pressure is now on Derek Carr to prove that he truly deserved that $125 million. And then, finally, the Raiders took Quentin Bell in the 7th round, who's kind of not a question mark, but an intriguing looking player. Defensive end out of Prairie View. He's listed at 6'4" and 220 pounds, but supposedly the scouts, now I'm already forgetting the guy's name, but one of the Raiders scouts was really advocating for Quentin Bell because apparently reportedly he ran 4.4 in the 40 at 240 pounds, not 220, and he made kind of an odd shift from wide receiver to defensive end, which is highly unusual. And he played for a small school, but at worst, he seems like he's going to be a contributor on special teams. And from what I've read, he refers to himself as a very coachable player. So I think he'll be willing to accept that role. So who knows? Maybe Quentin Bell will be a Pro Bowler on special teams, which frankly is not a bad thing. The war of field position is just as important as offense and defense. I like to say the best offense is a good defense, and the best defense is a good offense. What makes the difference is field position, and there you have it.